up, step up and get it. Lace up, face up, I'm here to win it. It's for my city, and the team coming with me. Headed for the championship, even if the road is long. Legends pave the way for us. Nothing in this world can take it from us. Don't underestimate our generation when you see us coming for ya. And when you knock me down, I'm getting back up. Cause when I step on the floor, you know your time's up. I'm on my way. Detroit basketball.
What up, though, Pistons fans? Welcome back to another episode of the King and Deuce Show. Shout out to everybody who is here, showing up and showing out as you guys always do. We appreciate you. I'm joined tonight by my co-host, King. What's the deal, bro? Ready to get to it?
Ready to get to it, man. It's basketball to talk about and some controversial things we getting ready to talk about.
Yeah, off season is officially in full swing, at least for us, right? Yeah. So, hope you guys are having a great Tuesday night. We are going to tackle a few topics tonight, beginning with, let's get to it, bro. NBA Finals. Man.
All right.
How about the finals, bro? How about them finals, man? How about these finals?
Man, I really had hope. I had a little hope for Indiana, but I think they choked it away. I said next game, if they win next game, I'm not confident that they'll win Game 7. That's just where I'm at right now. I think you gave your chance away right after you lost Game 3 to me. So, like I said, I think they choked it away. Indiana fans, if they don't win the finals, it's going to be a very, very miserable city, man, because they had it right there in their hands.
Yeah.
Especially with the news with Halliburton now. Yeah, it's dicey.
It's looking kind of spooky with the Pacers right now. 24K Mind said Killian Halliburton. Like, I'm dead. Come on, man. Y'all starting early. Oh, man. So I got a lot of thoughts, man, because let's just talk about what actually happened last night first. So last night, the Thunder, they beat the Pacers 120-109 for anybody who did not see or does not know by now. They go 3-2, 3-2 in the series, heading back to Indiana for Game 6 Thursday night. So, bro, what stood out to me, bro, Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
Jalen Williams, bro, he put the world on notice last night that he is a high-level number 2 on a championship team. And I think, what was he had? Like 40 points. Yeah, 40 points last night. 40 points. 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal in 35 minutes. Play the game for sure. And the last few games, we've seen the Pacers try to get the ball out of Shai's hands whenever they can. He's still getting buckets regardless, but whether they're picking him up 94 or sending help, when in the half court, they've really tried to key in on him. And Jalen Williams absolutely blew that up last night. His ability, bro, to handle the ball, make plays for others, and get his own whenever he wants to that level that he did last night. Like, if you're the Pacers, it's like, defensively, now what do you do? What do you do now? Defensively, you can take something away, but you can't take everything away. And last night, he showed them that they have another problem on their hands, for sure.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's, without the leader over there, it don't look good. It just don't look good, man. When you have players like that showing up for OKC, that's obviously going to be very confident next game. OKC, they will come into your house. They will beat you at your house, even though it's a hostile environment in Indiana, man. They are very capable of coming to your house and beating you, man. So
it's true.
I got this thing over with next game. I think that's where it's done. I don't think it's going to Game 7. Again, like I said, when you give up an opportunity like that, this is the finals, man. This is not just the playoffs, but the finals. When you give up an opportunity like that, man, it's just hard to recover from.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that's a great point. I had I think you did say Pacers in 6 before. I had the Thunder in 7.
Yeah.
It looked like we were on track for that until this calf strain. If it's serious as it seems, as they're saying it is, then that's probably going to be off. I'm probably going to be off, and you're probably going to be on as far as the Pacers in 6 or the Thunder in 6. But it's tough, man. And one more thing about Hallie, because shout out to him. Prayers go to him. All that heart goes out to him, whatever. But I just gotta say this, bro. Like, do you want to know what his averages are for the series? He's averaging 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Mm.
Last game, he didn't score until the third quarter, bro. He didn't make a field goal the whole game, and he only finished with 4 points on free throws.
Wait a minute. I thought they said he was better than Cade.
That's where I was going. That's exactly where I was going, bro. Because most of this happened before this calf strain. Bro, if Cade did that, if Cade did that, bro, if he did that one game, just one game, Pistons Twitter would blow up. But especially if it was a finals game, they would lose their minds, bro. Let's not forget, everybody, Cade averaged 25, 7, and 7 in his first playoff series.
Yeah.
So let's just keep that in mind and not develop short-term memory and have that knee-jerk reaction when Cade doesn't perform at peak level every single game, like some people seem to expect, right? You see, even with guys, stars, I don't know if he's a superstar. I wouldn't say he's a superstar, but, great players in this league all have games like that. But, yeah, let's not forget what Cade did. And let's not forget what is happening right now. Just want to put that out there. Anything else on that?
With me, with the fans, it's the in the moment, with the fans all the time, that it just annoys me to the highest extent, man, because like I said, one thing Halliburton is just, to me, has always been is inconsistent with his performances. Even when I had a chance to watch him close in the Olympics where he did absolutely nothing, it's just inconsistent with him. He'll have a hot night and then he get to blabbing in a mic and the camera, and people start believing it. You know what I'm saying? My thing with Halliburton is the inconsistencies, and even if he's hitting big shots at the end of the game, so what? That don't make him a better player than Cade. Right. Robert Horry hit big shots at the end of games and didn't do nothing else for the rest of the game before that. So what? You know what I'm saying? So like I said, for me, it's just like, the comparison. Just stop comparing Halliburton to anything Detroit. Halliburton is over there in Indiana. That's where he is. Halliburton is Halliburton, bro. But the jabbering of the mouth from Halliburton and I don't want to call him overrated. I don't want to be that disrespectful. I'll call him, properly rated. Yeah, properly rated. I don't want to say that. But sometimes it's just overboard. It's just overboard. I've watched him play in a game that, even worse than that, where he scored 0 buckets. So you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's inconsistencies with him, man. He still got some growth to do to learn how to be more consistent and show up, especially in playoff situations like this. You just can't have a performance like last game.
That's facts. Devon says, I know something about Hallie, but I don't want to say. So go ahead and say that. Thank you. Please and thank you. Yeah, bro. I wanted to talk about what I think is the blueprint now on how to beat Indiana. I think we're seeing in real time how to beat the Pacers. Because they're going to be standing the Pistons way next year. Just looking at how the Pistons play, turning defense into offense, getting out in transition, doing it with depth, which keeps guys fresh to be able to always go full tilt, is exactly what both of these teams in the finals do well. But it's also what the Pistons do well too. So we have our identity, and but just like they do, they have their identity, and we saw what it yielded, and we see what it's yielding for us in one season. So all the Pistons really got to do is sprinkle in more talent to add to that talent base and that identity. And I think they do that, it'll be just fine.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Nothing to add.
So we see y'all in the comments, man. Y'all going crazy. We trying to keep up. Anything else we missed, just make sure you repost it and we'll try to get to it. Let's move to our next topic, bro. Let's talk about this Pistons backcourt, man. So kind of piggybacking off of the last topic, right? Just think about this for a second. Jalen Williams, right? We just talked about him. He's 6'5", super athletic, played point guard in high school and college. I think he went to Santa Clara. Loves to get downhill. He had 18 points in the paint last night. Explosive finisher at the rim. Extremely high motor. Much improved three-point shooter. Does that sound like anybody on our team?
Yeah, Jaden Ivey.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, the projection from last year, Jaden Ivey, man. This is where we see him going. You know what I'm saying? This is where we see him going and getting better and improving year after year. Like I said, we say all the time, we know how much of a hard worker he is. Every year I expect, a little bit more from Ivy, man. Ivy is going to be a superstar in this league one day.
Yep. 100%. 100%. With that, I just want to show this little graphic here, when it comes to these two guys talking about, or these two backcourts actually, but specifically looking at Jaden and Jalen. And you see the stats there. First of all, you see they're close in age, 23, 24. Jalen is a little bit taller. That's 6'5". Jaden is 6'4". Jalen does have a longer wingspan by a few inches. I think he's got something crazy, like 6 foot or 7'2" wingspan, something crazy. But if you look at their season stats, you see, Jalen at 21-5-5 steal, and Jaden right there at 17-4-4 in steal. And you see the blocks and the turnovers in those minutes. So I personally, bro, I was just watching the game last night, man. And I have to say, too, I have been seeing a lot of what do we do to get our Jalen Williams on this team. I've seen a lot of that today. And I personally feel like, bro, we already have something to that effect in our team. I still don't think people realize how talented Jaden Ivey is or how good he's going to be. And I want to be clear. I want to be fair. Jaden right now is not currently the defensive player that Jalen Williams is, and maybe even offensively too at this stage. He's got a ways to go, right? Jalen Williams is a baller. He's an all-NBA defender. So I'm not taking nothing away from him. But after seeing the defensive improvement from nearly all of our guys last year, there's no reason to think that Jaden won't become a good defender in time, especially since, King, you and I, we both know he's working on that, his defense, right? And that takes me to what we saw from Shea and Jalen in Game 5. Because I think a lot of what we would have seen a lot of what we saw last night from Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, had he been healthy. And I think a lot of people would agree with that, because I see a lot of people saying, if we were healthy, we could have went to the conference finals. So I think a lot of people understand now that, health is wealth, especially in our case last year in the playoffs. We just didn't have it. And when the Pistons played the Knicks, they sorely, sorely needed that other playmaker on the court alongside Cade. Like, Dennis Schroeder was nice, right? He came in, he did a good job off the bench. But you just saw how much that was needed when he wasn't on the court with Cade. And it was just Cade and the other guys, the other starters. So we saw Cade's turnovers go up as a result of that, as a result of not having a ball handler on the court. So his usage went up. The Knicks defense was solely focused on slowing Cade down. And I think it's the same thing we saw the Pacers do to the Thunder, but it blew up in their face because they had Jalen Williams. He made them pay for it. The same way I think Jaden would have made the Knicks pay for trying to do that. So Jalen Williams' ability to play on and off the ball, it makes the Thunder impossible to guard. They're so versatile and unpredictable. And it's the same thing that I envision for Cade and Jaden as they get more and more comfortable playing together. That's just my take. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, listen, in those stats that you pulled, was that Williams' fourth year? That's his current year?
Yes, this is all based off of this season.
So, Williams probably in his third year where Ivy probably had similar numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Ivy he's creeping up from behind, but like I said, we've seen the improvement. It was definitely, on the way up, but at the same time, there's nothing in my mind tell me that Ivy can't average 1.5 steals too. You know what I'm saying? The way he plays the passing lanes, man, and the effort that he does give on defense, which he just never really gets credit for. Even when Monty Williams was here, he still was giving that effort at defense. That's why we were so flabbergasted when he wouldn't get on the court.
Right.
Nothing in my mind tells me that he's not going to turn into the player that we need. Pistons fans are the, most, I would say, impatient I've ever seen in my life.
Impatient for sure.
Yes, very impatient. I think next season, man, we're going to answer and check a lot of those boxes for Ivy, man.
Yeah.
He's going to be exactly what we need. In nowhere in my right mind do I see the Detroit Pistons trading a player in Ivy, unless it's a monumental player, which I don't think is going to come here.
Right.
So, like I said, it's on the up and up for Ivy, man. He's been putting the work in. All of those results we'll get to see next season, and he'll check those boxes.
Yeah. Last night, bro, just Jalen Williams. It was interesting because he was setting up Shea last night, while at the same time, getting off himself. And I think, like I said it before, just his ability to do both is so dangerous, and Jaden can do those things too. and just having the luxury of having two guys who can play either guard spot or guard spots, like at the same time on the court, that's hard to guard. Like, think about the Pacers. They even have that. They got Hallie and they got Nembhard. If I'm not mistaken, I think Nembhard played point guard at Florida or at Gonzaga when he played there. So they have two guards who can do both. And that makes you hard to guard. And it doesn't happen overnight, regardless of the pairing. We saw Nembhard and Hallie, they go through it, the growing pains, and same thing with Jalen and Shea. So we know that Cade missed basically the whole rookie season that belonged to Jaden Ivey. He wasn't there for most of the games because of a shin injury, right? Mm-hmm. And then last year was a disaster with Monty Williams. And this year he got hurt. So, but even with that, we still saw the flashes of everything that I just talked about playing alongside Cade. So I think people are overthinking this. And like you, I think next year I'm expecting this backcourt to push to be one of the best in the league because they have the formula. They just need the reps. They just need the time. Just like Hallie and Nembhard needed time, just like Shea and Jalen needed time. So I think once
I was just going to suggest
go ahead.
Tatum and Jaden did too.
Yes, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, same thing. And they were, 7 years, 7, 8 years until they actually got a title. So yeah, it takes time. Yeah. It takes time.
Fan base is screaming. No, like I said, fan base is screaming every doggone year to break them up over there in the Celtics. Look at that paid out for them. So, I think Pistons fans, we're looking at the wrong position. You know what I'm saying? We're looking at, instead of what we actually need to be trading for or, shoring up, I think we're looking at the wrong position right now. Mm-hmm. We need to see what's going to happen at backup point guard. If we're going to bring back a Schroeder or we're going to go get a younger Schroeder.
Right.
But obviously for me, it still lies in the paint. It still lies in the paint. We need another big, what I'm saying? So that's where all of my focus and energy is for the Pistons. I'm not even worried about our backcourt. Our backcourt is fine, man.
We're set.
Like I said, we have Cade, we have Beasley, we have Ivy, you know what I'm saying? And whoever else is going to be in the fold is who it's going to be. But right now, I need another big. So that's where the focus is. That's all I got to say about that.
Marvin, you're not funny. I'm going to move on from that quickly.
Good Lord.
Yeah, man. I agree wholeheartedly. When you think about these two teams too, the Pistons and the Thunder, they have a lot of similarities too. Just kind of going up and down the starting lineup. You got Shea and Cade. You got Jaden and Jalen Williams, which I think is going to be similar. And then you have Lou Dort and Asar. Now, Asar has to improve that jump shot because Lou Dort has a respectable 3-ball. It don't look pretty, and it stays in the air for about 5 minutes, right? But it goes in. It goes in. And they really do, try to close on him when he's open. So, just the respectability. So if Asar can do that over the next few years, I think that's a similarity. You look at Chet and maybe Naz Reid, right? That guy who I think will be better, more effective on this team than he actually is with the Timberwolves right now, just based on how the two teams are constructed. I think he would thrive here. And then looking at the center position.
What about Jaren Jackson Jr.?
I am not a JJJ fan, bro, at all. Stop it. You already know. You trolling right now. Bro is trolling. Do you like JJJ?
Offensively, yeah. His health, no. Defensively, no.
Bro, he don't even rebound. He's not like his. He was.
For me, the bad
like 5, 6 boards last year.
Yeah, the bad outweighs the good for me.
To me, he's not a Piston, bro. He's not a Piston. He's a talented player. He doesn't fit. Mm-mm. I heard Santi Aldama too. That power forward with the Grizzlies. He doesn't fit the mold to me. Yeah. He's not Fonseca 2.0 like I'm hearing, but he just doesn't fit. He's not. I don't see that mentality with him. But that's just on another note. But getting back to these guys, like even with the center position, you got Hartenstein and you got JD. Like neither one of those guys are a stretch. This shows you that you don't need to have a stretch 5 to win. They're showing you right now. He's also not a post player either. He's got the jump hook with the left hand, and that's it. That's his offense. Oh, you know what I mean? On the roll, on the drive. That's what they do for him. And he does a good job defensively, manning the paint. So we're learning things about how we can be effective in the Eastern Conference by watching the team out West beat them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think this is really important to pay attention to. The Pistons have a good bench. The Thunder have a great bench. So even all the way down to the benches, you see even with the depth piece, the similarities. They're built kind of similar. And my point in saying all that is just that the Pistons already have a lot of the pieces already to compete and come out of the East, in my opinion. And with the current landscape of the NBA, you're not going to win championships with top heavy teams anymore. You know, your bench is going to get exposed playing against deep teams in the playoffs when teams can make adjustments, right? We saw it. Like, think about this. I was thinking about this earlier. Think about this. We saw it happen in both conferences with both teams that are in the finals right now. The Grizzlies, the Timberwolves, and the Nuggets, they all lost to the Thunder because they were not deep enough. The Bucks, the Cavs, the Knicks, they all lost to the Pacers because they weren't deep enough. So the Pistons have a deep team with a young core that they can build around, just like the Thunder do. So to me, making a big trade, a blockbuster trade or a splash trade for guys making $50 million a year, like a Booker or a KD, it kills all that. That's all done. That's all over. So the domino effect of doing something like that is very, very pivotal when it comes to roster construction based on how the landscape is now with contracts in the second apron. They're encouraging teams to retain their guys and to kind of have those guys homegrown. And we're already in that process. So to me, making that kind of move does not make sense, and it undoes and sets us back a couple years.
You know, to me, the only way that you can get away with having a mediocre bench is if you got superstars, if you got an MVP caliber player like you got in Shea over there. Like I said, when it comes to the Thunder, they have a mediocre bench over there. It's not a player.
I'm not mediocre. They're mediocre. Think so? I don't think so.
They had a game where they had 0 points, bro. They're mediocre. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Indiana's bench was even better, to be honest. Really? I just think at the top is where Indiana is slighted against OKC because Halliburton's a heck of a player, but he's inconsistent. But they don't have the Shea over there. You know what I'm saying? They don't have that guy over there. So they got Siakam, but they don't have Shea. You know, so
like Siakam is like what Jalen Williams on, like in that level. Yeah.
Yep. So sometimes OKC you can get the best out of that bench. Sometimes, and when you have a top heavy player in Shea, who's the MVP, who's going to get 1,000,005 free throws, that helps. Yeah, right. You know, that helps out a lot. You know what I'm saying? The Pistons right now, our bench was way worlds better than OKC's simply because of what they was able to produce points wise. So
go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is with that bench, plus if we add what we need to the starting lineup without losing too much, if we do go for a player of a higher caliber, that makes things really interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because you got a real problem to deal with. Like I said, a lot of these guys, they're on young player contracts still. You know, so you have an opportunity right now to rent a player to come in here and make a push for the finals coming out of an East where, you know, like I said, it's up for grabs still. So it's up to the Pistons what they decide to do if they just want to keep it consistent and, you know, just add players to you know, keep improving gradually, or you take a swing at a rental that's going to come in here for a season or two, and then get off of your books. That's up to the Pistons. You know, that's the way I'm looking at it. Okay,
I'm not mad at that. I'm surprised about that Indiana OKC Thunder bench take, but okay. I thought that bench was solid with Case and Wallace. They got champions on that bench, you know, with Caruso. So I don't know. Maybe it's just defensively. I'm thinking more so with their depth, but I ain't mad at you. Devon says Pistons can easily become OKC the East. Magic had all their guys and just traded one bonehead core player away. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to Desmond Bane later. So hold on to that thought, Devon. But yeah, man, it was it definitely looks like it's over. This series looks like it's done. But I definitely think the Pistons are in position because you're right. Our bench is underrated. Our bench, and it's getting better. It's getting better because we got guys on this team that are getting better on that bench. Bobby Clement.
And Fontecchio won't be there next season.
Yeah. I think, and you know, like, shout out to him, but I don't know if that's the right guy for this team right now. Personally, that's just me. But we'll see. But Bobby Clement is the guy who I have my eye on as far as the bench for sure next season. So we'll see. Before we move off of this, bro, I want to talk also about the coaching situation and why I think that has been a big piece of why the Thunder have been successful and why I think people are maybe panicking a little bit when it comes to the Pistons. The Pistons, like Mark Daigneault, OKC coach, right? Mm-hmm. He's been there since 2020. I think he was actually the summer league coach, and he got hired as the head coach. But the Pistons, on the other hand, we've been through three coaches, or we've had three coaches since 2020, including Monty Williams last year, right? So Shea has been with the OKC Thunder since 2019. It's been that long. This is year 6 for him with the Thunder. Mm-hmm. And just kind of going back in time, the Thunder won 22 games in 2021. They won 24 games in 2022. And then they made the jump, 57 in 2024 and 68 this year. So Shea like Cade has also seen dark days with his own franchise. And it took time to right that ship. It didn't happen overnight. And I think when Jalen Williams was drafted in 2022, that, you know, like I was watching him early. He and Shea, they didn't have success right away. They had their struggles, their growing pains, right? So it took consistent in-game reps over a span of years, minus the major injuries to either player. They both played, I think, at least 55 to 75 games all of those seasons. So they also had the right coach and the right team around them.
Right.
And now we're seeing, you know what I mean, how they can really perform at peak level in big moments. But it took time. And even in that situation, bro, which was close to a perfect situation, it still took Jalen Williams time to develop consistency.
Yeah.
Even with that. You know what I'm saying? So, but look at them now. Look at them now. A couple years later, here they are, one game away from the first championship on the backs of their backcourt. So Pistons fans, I'm saying all that to say, just be patient and let it play out and give these guys time, because it always requires that when you have a young core.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I blame the NBA for the mindset of a lot of fans, especially young fans, because of the marketing strategies they use.
Yeah,
they're not thinking about players developing over, you know, the years and becoming something. They're not used to that. They're so used to, oh, he was a top pick, and
that's true.
Day one, he's coming out, and you know, everybody's LeBron James in their mind. So, you know, when they get drafted number 1 overall,
facts.
Certain players, they have to develop into what you think they're going to be. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's what you're seeing with a lot of these organic teams right now. Because, listen, Sacramento got rid of Halliburton, didn't they? You see what I'm saying? And now they're over there. They're right now looking for a Halliburton over there right now.
They had him and Fox, which is wild.
Yes. But now you're looking for a point guard. You see what I'm saying? So franchises, they destruct themselves, pulling the trigger a little bit too fast. You know what I'm saying? And getting rid of players, young players like that. So with us, we're in a spot where our players are actually showing improvement year after year. And you don't want to mess that up. So you have to be tread water and be very careful on how you make moves, because you don't want to mess with that chemistry. It's very important. So the Pistons need to make the right move, but they don't need to be trying to sell a house to bring some name in here.
Yep. 100%. Dwayne had a great question. I want to ask it. Is Shea the greatest Thunder player ever? I'll let you know in a few days.
I don't even.
That's my take.
Even if he win the championship, it's still hard for me to say.
I would say yes.
You think so?
Because he's a leader.
Yeah.
Like aside from the, you know what I'm saying? He galvanizes the troops a lot like how K does for this team. KD just want to hoop. That's just not his personality. You know what I'm saying? That's just not who he is. In the right situation, KD can be the best player in the world in his prime.
The only strike I have against Shea is the exploitation. You know what I'm saying, of the rules in this league. That is my only knock with him. Everything else, he checks the box. So I'll give him that. He can. I'll give him the best.
Great question.
Under player.
Yeah, because I mean that's the only thing missing from anybody. He's got the MVP. You know, Russ has an MVP. He didn't have with the Thunder, or he did with the Thunder. Yeah, KD has an MVP. So everything else is checked off. I think that will elevate him to say, I have this and you don't. You know what I mean? And it will cap off a great season, winning the MVP and winning the finals MVP.
Yeah, those other two never did that. So it's kind of hard to argue it.
Yeah, it's a good question. Good question, Dwayne, for sure. Anything else on that, bro?
No.
Before we move on? Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to what you guys mentioned earlier. Desmond Bane has been traded to the Orlando Magic. And this was the first trading domino to fall this offseason, if I'm not mistaken. And for those who missed this, the Magic have traded Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, And 4 first-round picks that are unprotected for Desmond Bain. So just last show, bro, I don't know if you remember, just last show, we talked about the landscape of the Eastern Conference next season, and Orlando, they came up as one of the teams the Pistons are going to have to see, right? Mm-hmm. And if you remember, I mentioned that they needed more scoring because I didn't see Franz Wagner as that high-level number 2 next to Paolo. And it seems like the Magic kind of felt the same way. And I think that's why they added Desmond Bain to the roster. So, King, your thoughts on this trade and what it may mean for the Pistons? And should the Pistons be compelled or feel compelled to make a move because of what happened today or yesterday?
No. Pistons don't need to be compelled to move, man. Like I said, Orlando, first of all, got to stay healthy over there. You know, to me, they got a new age Blake Griffin over there. So here's the thing, bro. 4 unprotected first round picks. Are you nuts?
That's where I'm at, dog.
Are you nuts? Like, what are y'all doing, bro?
It's great for now. It's great for now. But go ahead.
I like Desmond Bain.
Yeah.
I really do.
He cool.
Like I said, you know, he gives the Pistons the flux.
Yeah.
But I'm not trading no 4 damn picks for him, bro. That's not 4 unprotected picks.
That's a lot, man.
No. No, that's a lot, bro. That's the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, it's like you really are not trying to make your team sustainable for a long period of time.
That's
you are really trying to be a flash in the pan.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at, bro. That's why I said I thought it was good for now. You know what I mean? But long term, bro, like I just don't think he's worth Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, and 4 first round picks. I just unprotected, bro. Like top 10 protected. Okay, that's still a lot, but all right. But unprotected. What if this thing goes south and somebody gets hurt? You know, knock on wood. But things happen, and now those picks could have been high draft picks. You could have went the other way and said we're going to tank for a year or 2.
Yeah, Orlando,
you can't even use them anymore. They're gone. You know what I mean? So like,
they've been historically bad at making trade decisions.
Man, that they trading like that's low key like the Mikal Bridges trade. If it doesn't work out, 4 first round picks unprotected for him. Bro, not looking too good now. You know what I'm saying? So like, anytime you got to give up that many assets, bro, it's gotta be a star. Like it can't be just. Well, I don't want to say just. To me, it's got to be borderline superstar. It can't just be a star. It's got to be a. You know what I'm saying? It can't be that kind of guy. What's your take?
I'm glad that I've seen this type of comment on Twitter. You don't know that.
You don't know that.
Low budget talker. You could have an injury where you have a terrible season and you have a high pick, and guess what? Gone.
Yeah.
We're talking 4 first round picks here. 4.
Rudy Gobert trade.
You're not going to have good fortune every single season.
Yeah.
You don't know that.
Yeah.
It's a stupid trade.
It's exactly why I wouldn't want the Pistons to do it, to be honest. I'm just saying. Bro. Yeah. Anytime you got to give that many assets, bro, you better win. You better get at least one out of it. Because the next 5 to 10 years ain't going to be that pretty for you unless you just got a finesse as a GM. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. That's how dynasties actually happen. That's what, like, when you see, like, these top teams getting, how do they get a number 3? How do you keep getting these first round? This is how. Because of, you know what I'm saying? The Rudy Gobert trade, those picks, Mikal Bridges, like those kind of moves are what create dynasties on the other side. So it's like, you really got to be careful when you're giving up that many assets, bro. That's my only thing.
The only type of player you give those 4 picks up for is a player that we getting ready to talk about in a minute. If it ain't a player like him, no. Yeah. I know not Desmond Bain.
And he can hoop, man. Like you said, he had 50 on us last year, one game. I don't know who was playing, but just off top, like you mentioned it earlier.
Well, before we got on, around the league, ain't nobody scared of Desmond Bain, man.
I don't think. I already know our guys will not be scared at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll take that matchup. Jalen Suggs and Bain and Cade and Jaden. Yeah, I'll take that for 500, please. Thank you. It's not even a question. So it does move the needle, but I don't think enough for them. I still don't think they're better than us, fully healthy, especially when we had that 4 that we need. So yeah, I just don't see it. And there's going to be, once again, there's going to be that grace period where they have to learn each other. We always talk about that. Whenever you add players to your team, no matter how talented they are, it takes time to learn each other. That's why you see teams who are veteran teams who've had their guys together, they run like, you know what I mean? Like well-oiled machines because they know what they're doing. They've been together. So yeah, if they're looking 2 or 3 years out, okay, maybe. But next year, especially in next season, I don't see that. I don't see them even jumping us or anything like that. I think we're still a better team than the Magic. That's just my take. Yeah. We'll leave that there and we'll see what happens. But you mentioned a player that we were going to talk about. Let's go ahead and get to that guy right now. Giannis. Now, obviously, there have been no reports on this, anything like that. But there have been certain individuals out there, talking heads out there, talking about, well, you know what? I'm just going to show y'all. I'm not even going to give you no context. I'm going to just show it and we'll talk about it. So let's pull it up.
If I'm Giannis, I'm seriously considering going to Detroit. Detroit is back on fire. Great basketball city. A lot of culture. A rising young superstar in Cade Cunningham. Giannis and Cade in Detroit. Come on now, we talk about moving the needle. That puts them right there in the championship conversation. They become legit title contenders if Giannis Antetokounmpo goes to Detroit. And Cade got to take that leap. Sometimes you got to put your pride aside. If you don't already have Giannis' number, you need to go out there and search. It's not hard to get. Ooh, big fella, what's up? Yeah, I want you. What's happening? It's a business. Cade, I get it. You young. You got a lot of special relationships with those guys in the locker room. But damn it, you're talking about Giannis. Damn it, you was the one a year ago talking about how miserable you were and how depressing it was to lose. Now you done got a taste of how it feels to win and be in the postseason. Imagine how it feels to get to the NBA Finals and win a damn championship. You can do that shit with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Get on the phone. Go be involved with that front office. And they ain't gonna tell you no. Get Giannis down there in Detroit.
So, first of all, who is Cade Cunningham?
First of all, the insult of you calling me this man before we got online. I am much more handsome than Kendrick Perkins. Thank you. And I don't need a little ball going across the screen when I talk either. All right. Shout out to Perk, though. Nothing but love.
Shout out to Perk. Yeah. Definitely. So what are your thoughts on that, bro? He had a lot to say. He had a mouthful. He said a mouthful. But what are your thoughts on Kendrick Perkins urging Cade to reach out to Giannis to see if he would potentially want to be a Detroit Piston?
If Cade had that type of pull, then go for it. But it's going to be tough to get a player in Giannis to come to Detroit. And, you know, like I said, yes, it makes you a title contender. It does. A legit title contender immediately. But what are you going to have to give up to get him from Milwaukee? Because Giannis ain't trading himself. Milwaukee's trading Giannis. So what are they going to ask for? Which is probably going to be most of your core players.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have a top-heavy team over here and a graveyard on your bench probably. So what does that give you? So like I said, it depends on what the trade looks like. And my God, I would die and fall out if something like that were to happen. Can you imagine him and Stu playing together now?
Bro,
as much as the Antetokounmpos cannot stand Stu, and now you playing with him and hugging and laughing out there on the court, I would die, man. That would
be weird, bro. That would be hella weird. I ain't gonna lie to you. I mean, it would be ridiculous on the court, but that would be weird.
All the moments that they was about to square up out there on the court, man, in situations,
man,
that would be something else.
Low budget talker. I said this earlier, bro. Greek Town would be funny.
Oh my God. And they rebuilding Greek Town too?
Right.
That'd be hilarious.
Right. But so it's fun to think about. But I'm with you, man. Let me say that. Let me call myself out, right? Because last show we talked about this possibility. Well, we talked about, different people talking about it before this clip even dropped, right? And if you guys remember, I said that there were only like 1 or 2 guys in the league that will make me go off course for what the Pistons' current plan is, right? Building around the young guys. Jokic, Giannis. That's the list. That was my list. And I haven't really changed my stance on that. However, even if that were on the table, like you said, King, it's got to make sense, man. How much are you giving up? If it's mostly picks and cap filler, okay, yeah, but that wouldn't be enough to do it. You know what I'm saying? But I would do that. But if you got to give up your core guys, I'm out. Because I was thinking about this earlier today as well. As great as Giannis is, and he's one of the best players ever already, nobody can win with one or two guys. Nobody. Look no further than the Bucks from last year, right? In the playoffs. Those days are over, 100%. Last year, bro, Giannis was incredible in that first round against the Pacers. This past season against the Pacers. He put up, I looked it up, 33 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block a game. And they lost in 5. So to your point, the Pacers' depth was overwhelming for the Bucks. They couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? It wasn't even close, bro. It wasn't even close. And even if Dame was healthy, they still would have lost. So I'm leaning more and more towards just staying pat regardless, and just building the type of team that has proven to be successful. Look no further than the 2 teams in the NBA Finals. So it's fun to think about it. You know what I mean? But you're not going to win a chip, even with Giannis, if you don't have a complete team around him. You know what I mean? When he won in 2020 or 2021, they had defensive dogs, bro, and they were deep. You know what I mean? They had Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton was still there, Brook Lopez was still there, Bobby Portis, who you guys just mentioned, Dante DiVincenzo, Pat Connaughton, PJ Tucker. They had guys that all played a role. They were deep. So regardless of who you are, bro, you need a complete team. To get over the hump, you need a top to bottom team. And the Pistons wouldn't have any of that if they trade for a guy of the caliber of Giannis. That's why I said no to Devin Booker. That's why I said no to Kevin Durant. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm out. 100% I'm out on that idea, regardless of who it is. And I really just want to stand pat where we are right now. That's where I'm at. As far as the core.
Yeah, I'm not trying to become the new Knicks, man. Besides, I'm not trying to have 2 players in a bunch of scrubs, bro. I'm not trying to be that team. Like I said, it will have to make sense, man. Listen, the moderators, make sure y'all. It's profanity going on in the comments right now. I see curse words like Brian.
Bro, come on, man. That's what we're doing tonight.
Make sure that y'all are moderating. But
get on your job.
Like I said, I don't want to become a top heavy team like that, man. And then if one of the 2 get injured, it's over with. You know what I'm saying? Like I want a team that's able to sustain injury, but at the same time, something that, like I said, over time, our team is going to be good for a long time. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for quick flash in the pans, man. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Who wouldn't want Giannis on their team?
Right.
But again,
in theory, 100%.
Right. But again, it's Milwaukee. When you let go a player of that caliber, who is your city to that fan base, you better get a haul back for that guy in order to explain yourself.
And you know why you also better get a haul back? Because you're in the same division.
Yes.
You're going to see them all the time. So if you make a bad trade, you're going to be reminded of it every time they step on the court. So 100%. 100%. Yeah, man. It's fun to think about. It's really fun to think about. He's a phenomenal, one of my favorite players in the league, actually, to watch, right? Because he's developed his game, has gotten better. But yeah, man, it's all about what you got to give up. And you're basically throwing away, what you had in place and what you kind of worked hard to build over the past year. So it better be worth it if you're willing to do all of that to start over, in a sense. So yeah, I'm with you, bro. 100%. 100%, man. Y'all got me down in the comments. I saw a Trey Murphy comment, I think. I think if we could get Trey Murphy for cheap, I think we could get Murphy for cheap, to be honest. Pacers got Obi for 2 second rounders. Murphy is better, but that injury is, it's scary. Thoughts on Trey Murphy, bro?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of reports on Twitter, about Trey Murphy, man. But, like I said, man, it just got to be the right situation. Obviously, a scary injury like that, you don't want to give up much for him. So you can swindle him out of there and take a shot. Fine. I don't have a problem with that. But, as far as on the more serious side of trades, man, we just need to go and get another big down there to help. So whoever that's going to be, we'll just see. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Like I'm at a point now where, like, when it comes to trades, it's like, if the guy I'm trading for goes down, what does the rest of my team look like? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking before every trade. You know what I'm saying? Am I just keep my fingers crossed that everybody stays healthy? Because that's a losing that's a losing battle. You're going to lose that battle. So yeah, 100%. But he's a dog, man. Like he's really, really, really good, bro. He's really good. I think he would be a great fit here with Cade and Jaden and Asar and JD. And also, yeah, that would be perfect. But I don't think it's gonna happen. I hope it does. Like that to me, that even as far as Naz Reid, that would be like 1A for me, just because of everything he can do in the court. PD Max says get Portis Mahorn too. So like I've been watching Portis. I watched him in that series against the Pacers. He didn't look like the same Bobby Portis to me. He looked a half step slow. He was bobbling balls. Pause. It was just he just didn't look the same. He didn't look like the Bobby who, when he comes into the game, he helps you immediately. You know what I'm saying? He was hurting him a lot with turnovers, and I like the mentality. You know what I'm saying? I like the toughness that he brings. He's a no nonsense guy. Been around the league for years. Still relatively young, champion. I like those attributes, but I don't know. I feel like we will be catching him on the decline at this point. My guy, as you guys already know, is Naz Reid. I want Naz Reid for a myriad of reasons. We're not going to get into that tonight. I've talked about that in like 3 or 4 shows already in the last month. So I'm not doing that tonight. But you guys know the deal. I feel like he's a perfect fit for this team. King, you kept mentioning how we just need to add one guy. We just need 1 or 2 guys, maybe a backup point, another point guard for depth. You know, maybe we get a little bit deeper at that position defensively, a Marcus Smart type of player, something like that. But other than that, I think we just need to beef up that 4.
And the reason why I say it's a reason behind why I say that, because we're not talking about finals that's, you know, the big 3 days are dead. Those are over with. You know what I'm saying? You're seeing, you know, one guy at the top and then a team that's built around him. That's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing teams in the finals right now.
Right.
And when you look at the East and when you add the right players, say for instance, you add a Naz Reid and you add somebody at backup point guard, if you decide to let Schroeder go, you stay fairly healthy through the season, you got a legit chance of getting to the finals in the East. Mm-hmm. Because these teams that we're talking about that's in the finals right now, they're also young. Yep. But at the same time, it's not star-studded teams we're talking about. Yeah, you got SGA who's the MVP, but other than that, it's just like these guys are all just they're all stars and good players.
Really good players.
They are. Yeah. You know, those teams are put together. They're constructed properly. Mm-hmm. So if the Pistons can do that and fill out their team and get that extra punch without giving up the house to do it,
right,
that makes them competitive for multiple years.
Yes,
because we don't, you know, we're not talking about it, but we have an era that's dying off currently right now. We have the era of LeBron, Curry, KD. They're dying off. It's their turn to fall off now. Now it's what you have in the league. You have the young guys. You have the Ants. You have, you know, the Ant-Mans. You have the Cades. You have those guys are you know, the basketball universe. So like I said, they're in a unique time, but also at a perfect time. At a very perfect time right now, the Detroit Pistons are. So like I said, man, we don't have to throw the house at somebody to go and get some huge name. We just add the right players. Man, we got a legit chance at the finals.
100%. 100%. Shout out to E. Vinny. Eric Vincent is here with us tonight. Y'all make sure y'all go give him a follow, man. He's got great Pistons content. We have him on the show often. So shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you showing up, man. I totally agree, bro. Totally agree, man. It's all, like you mentioned, flash in the pan. We don't want to be a flash in the pan. Every time we won, we've had runs, championship runs consistently. And I think that's what is being built now. And you mentioned a great point, bro, as far as, you know, some of these guys that are leaving, retiring soon are legends. You know, LeBron, KD, Steph, those are legends. They're not all-time greats. Those are legends. You know what I'm saying? But I think kind of going with them is the mindset on how they want to win. You know what I'm saying? We know not so much Steph because, you know, but more so even my guy LeBron and KD, like those guys stack their teams to a sense, in a sense. You know, more so with KD, but they both went to winning situations. They both made sure they went to winning situations. And I think now, like you mentioned, they were top heavy. 1, 2, 3, they got the best 3 guys in the team. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of the problem. Those top heavy teams, I kind of think that mindset is kind of going away too. And that's part of why, as a GM, you have to be aware of those things too. The model is changing. You know what I'm saying? Staying current and understanding how to adapt is important. I think Trajan Langdon has a good pulse on that.
Yeah, the hyperinflation in the league is dying down now.
Yeah.
Things are falling back in place where we had the hyperinflation Golden State Warriors. We had the hyperinflation of the Heat with the big three. Now we're going back to basketball where you're seeing bigs emerge again. You know what I'm saying? That's where we are. We're looking at full teams. We're looking at defensive minded teams. The league is back from inflation.
Yep.
Now we're back, at that level of basketball throughout instead of just one or two guys on the team.
Exactly, bro. 100%, man. Yeah, we're seeing it in real time. It's pretty cool to see the transition, kind of see how it's kind of switching over, because the guys that we're used to seeing in these deep playoff runs are not there. It's crazy. It's been a while since we've seen this long. None of those guys are there. KD, not even, what is it, play in? Steph, losing to the T-Wolves. LeBron, like everybody's just kind of just falling like flies, and it's crazy to see it. But it's like you mentioned, it's kind of a pass, changing of the guard, passing of the torch. The league is changing, and now once again, I want to salute Trajan Langdon for understanding and being on top of that, because you see the model he's building right now. You see how it compares to those models of the teams in the NBA Finals right now.
Yeah.
So I want to give him credit for that too.
Be happy, Pistons fans. The league is back at Piston style basketball.
Yeah, that's what Paper Junkies said. Yeah.
Yeah. Indiana Pistons, Knicks, Celtics probably over with, but
yeah, but they were
days. Yeah, right. But they were. But those days are back. They're coming back now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, say, you have to have a team. You have to build. Actually, these GMs have to actually build a team and have to actually hire a coach to run those teams, man, and to get them there to that point. You actually have to do your job again in this league, because we don't have the anomaly of players like the LeBron Jameses and KDs of the world just walking into the league willy-nilly. Those players come every couple of decades or so.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So right now we're at a level where we just have a bunch of really, really good talent. And I mentioned those names in Ant-Man and Cade Cunningham and, the SGAs and, those type of players. So like I said, we are at a very unique and special time to try to get to the finals, man, and really win a chip.
Yeah, Ethan said a good point. Pistons have never won a chip being top heavy either. Yeah, it's always been, we've always had deep teams. It's always been depth. It's always been next man up. When injury happens, okay, next guy up. Wasn't ever really much drop off in those situations, and I think that's something to be said for. And to see the league kind of going back to that for me is refreshing, bro. It's super duper refreshing to see basketball being played. It's basketball now. You know what I'm saying? Aside from the merchants of the world, right? The foul baiting and stuff like that. I do want to see that kind of go away too, but I think we're seeing that return. This was a great point too. Caruso was key for OKC. They won't be one game away without him 100%. You could just feel his leadership when he's in the game. That's a great point. You can really see every time when he always has him under control. He always seems to know what to do. He seems to be in full control of, especially defensively. Like he's just making all the right plays. He's doing all the little things, and he's a defensive dog, man. So like I think the Pistons, I mentioned earlier, maybe adding depth, at the guard spot, getting a defensive dog like a Marcus Smart type of guy. That's what I was kind of getting at. That same kind of thing. And we know the connection between Ron Holland and Marcus Smart. They're cousins. Shout out to those guys, for Charles, for putting us on to that. But it's definitely about building this team puzzle piece by puzzle piece by puzzle piece. And the Pistons seem to be doing that. And I think that we're going to see that happen this offseason. Thoughts?
No, yeah. Like I said, I totally agree with that. Like this comment is just throwing me off. These days are dead. These days are dead, Irvin or Everin or whatever.
Not happening, bro.
It's over with. That conversation is over with. It's done.
Yeah.
I did want to say this though. Looking at the East, what teams do you think are getting ready to fall off the cliff? The obvious teams. What teams? I want to see if we're thinking the same thing. What teams do you think are falling off the cliff in the East?
Wow. That's a great question. I'm going to pull up the NBA standings so we can just make sure we're not forgetting anybody, like the Orlandos of the world, like I did last time. So let's go ahead and bring that up. and just make sure we are not missing anybody. All right. So that's a great question, bro. Great question. Because we always talk about the teams who are going to be ascending next year. So let's look at who they're going to be jumping. So, okay. So you know what? Honestly, bro, we talk about flash in the pans. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I don't think Cleveland is going to be Cleveland next year. Especially with Darius Garland already being in trade rumors, they making him available, and he got this 4 to 6 month recovery off of his surgery,
and the internal issues that's going on over there.
And yeah. I think this was like one of their best shots, at least in the immediate future.
Yeah.
To make a run, and they ran into the wrong team too early. Unfortunately, I would say Cleveland. Let's see, Boston for sure. Boston, the Achilles. Jason Tatum is a major blow. Prayers up to him. Hope he's going to be good for his career. But as far as how it affects the East and the Pistons, they're definitely not going to be a top 3-4 team next season.
My top 3 and 4,
but go ahead.
Minus those 2 teams you just named, my top 3 or 4 teams are the next teams that you see, except Milwaukee. I'm not sure about Milwaukee because I feel like Giannis kind of, he kind of wants to get out of there. So that's my question. If he stays, then obviously automatically they're going to be in that top 6 range. But if you take out Milwaukee, you take out Cleveland, you take out Boston, those teams remaining are going to be the top 4 teams.
So you're saying Knicks, Pacers, Pistons, and Magic? Yeah, I think that's the 4, bro. I think that's the 4. I think it's gonna look. You're right. It's gonna look totally different next season. In a hurry. It's going to be fun to see, too. Not even just because the Pistons are going to be in that mix, but just seeing fresh teams, like the finals, seeing these fresh teams. That's a great question. What do y'all think? What do y'all think in the chat? Because definitely want to see what you guys think. Ethan says, Knicks, depending on the coaching situation. That's a great point, too. The Knicks are a mess, bro. What are the Knicks doing? Let's talk about that real quick, bro. Because I'm so glad they brought that up. The Knicks are self-destructing, bro. At least from what I can see.
They're having a meltdown,
bro. Like
they always do.
How do you? It's been a quarter century since they've been here. Quarter century. I think 99 was the last time they were this deep, or 2000. But bro, it's like, come on, man. Thibodeau is a defensive-minded coach, and they gave him a bunch of offensive players. Your 2 best players are liabilities on the end that your coach shines in. What are you doing? Like, what do you expect him to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's my first thing. It's like, what do you? Go ahead.
Another thing too, Brunson is a hell of a player. One of my precautions with him was when the Pistons rumors was going around was his size, and if he can take a 82 game beating without his body deceiving him at some point of the season. So that's something that I'm also going to continue to watch while he's in New York. But New York needs another player. They need another player over there. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's going to be, I don't know who that player is going to be, but like I said, besides him and Karl Anthony Towns, it's like, who else are you afraid of over there?
Yeah, no, that's a fact. That's a fact, bro. Want to shout out Pistons Jack. What's going on, bro? Appreciate you stopping in, man. Pistons Jack says, what up? By the way, go follow him if you guys are not on all socials. Says, what's up, squad? Hope the offseason is treating you well. You too, bro. My question, when was the last time you missed Pistons basketball this soon? It's a good question, Jack. I would say, okay, let me think. Because 2003, we got swept by the Nets, right? I'm trying to think if that was the last time I was this excited heading into a season. I'm gonna say 2000. I'm gonna say 2005 off season.
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you.
2005. When we lost to the Spurs in Game 7, I couldn't wait until that next season, bro. I couldn't wait. That for me, that's far and away. I haven't been that excited since then because I'm very, very excited for this team next year. Go ahead.
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. When we got Cade.
Okay.
When we got Cade. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because at that point, obviously we were all wrong. Well, I was definitely wrong, but at that point, I couldn't wait to see him and Killian play together.
Right,
So
me
I was
too.
excited. And then we had Sadiq Bey. It's like, bro,
Yeah.
I was excited. We had
Yeah.
Isaiah Stewart, who at the time I was like, man, this is gonna be our next Ben Wallace. Man, I was excited.
Yeah.
It just didn't turn out how we
Jeremy
wanted.
Grant was there with us.
Yeah, right.
We had a little squad. But like as far as, okay, so let me say this. As far as individual players, yes, I'm with you. Because I mean, he was he was number one pick. We had never experienced that before, ever. Like the closest we got was the number 2 pick with Darko, and that was what it was. You know what I'm saying? So like, as far as individual players, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because we had the number 1 pick, and I watched them, obviously, right? Oklahoma State, all that, Montverde, Bowie, all the way back. Now watch Cannon too when he played for Larry Brown at SMU, all that. So yeah, I think as far as team expectation, I thought that's kind of what, maybe that's not what Jack meant, but I thought he meant that. As far as that, it's 05, bro. And there's no question, because I felt like that was one that got away. That was the one that got away. And I'm like, we have to get our revenge next season. Have to.
I would say I was the most frustrated that offseason.
Woo! I would agree too.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been that mad.
No question. I was borderline depressed, bro. Like I'm not even, that's not even hyperbolic. Like I went through a mini depression when the Pistons lost in Game 7 by 7 points to the Spurs on the road. Like even thinking about it now, bro, it's still hard to swallow. Pause. Like it's still hard to accept that. Even now.
Yeah, I got to give it to those 2 times though. During that time and during the time that I just said, obviously one of them was the most that got me started on YouTube.
Yeah,
Andre Drummond.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When we drafted Dre, I thought Dre was like, we got to steal. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, how did he fall from here to there? So
yeah, his motor was all that. You're right, yeah.
I said, zoop, and that's where it started at.
Bro, that's what it was for me with Kate. That's exactly what it was, because I watched you for years. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't connect until after that lottery happened, and I'm like, okay, I gotta be a part of this movement somehow. I have to be, because I knew how good he was, bro. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna get left behind in this train. This dude is the truth, and we're on our way. So yeah, 100%. Great question, Jack. Jack also says, this team for me is by far the best team I've ever experienced, but I've only been following since 2012. So, Jack, give us some of your favorite moments. Like, what are your favorite moments from the last 13 years of you watching this basketball team? In chat too, like, what are you guys? I kind of want to hear from everybody else now. Like, give us some of your memories, give us some of your moments, give us those disappointments that we talked about. If you remember those times we talked about, let us know. But definitely. And then Jack says, both great answers. Always, bro. Appreciate you, man. Anything else you wanted to get to, bro? I know we got to a lot tonight, but you kind of got in a flow state now with all these comments in here. What you think?
Yeah.
Here's one for you. We better bring back Dre and maybe even Reggie next year. If Shooter, wait, which Reggie? Reggie Jackson?
Reggie too old now.
Yeah, Reggie too old now.
He's too old now.
And at this stage, he can't play no defense. He was never a great defender, but even in his prime athletically, he was never really a good defender. So now,
how much does KCP cost these days?
I think he's got a hefty contract. I can look it up if you want to. Yeah, give me a second.
Okay, if he got a hefty contract, no.
Nah. At this, same thing. Yeah. He's on the back end. I feel like of his career at this point.
If you're not gonna bring back THJ, I'm looking for players like that.
Yes, I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, last year he didn't shoot the 3 well at all. Like he really took a dive last year for sure. Yeah, he struggled last year, but that's what happens. Like when you play with Denver with a Jokic, and then you go to Orlando, who don't really have that facilitator like that, you're not gonna get those open shots.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what happens. So maybe he will be better in a situation like this, having Cade, having Jaden, guys that can get the ball to him. Who knows? But he's currently he's at 21 a year.
Too much money.
You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather get that to Nas. You know what I'm saying? If he would take something like that and and roll with that for sure.
Too much money.
Yeah. And that could be part of why they decided to make that move. Yeah, but still, for unprotected, bro, I can't do it.
That's crazy.
Can't do it, man. That's a lot, bro.
Craziness.
Man. Let's get to some of these comments. The early 2000s was lit. PD Mac says, Game 3, 2004 Finals. I attended that game live. Oh, that was a good one.
Greatest year of my life.
Bro, that was the year that we what?
Yeah.
Graduated. That was graduation year, bro. for both of us.
Graduation year, man. Everything that year was dope. Even the Tigers, man. Shout out to the Tigers. They kicking ass right now.
Yeah, let's go.
Everything was on point, man. Everything was on point that year.
Bro, there was a time we talked about it. There was a time when even the Shock were still here, when the Shock were champions and we were champions at the same time.
At the same time, bro.
Bro, that was what a time to be alive, bro. That's one of the golden eras for me when it comes to Detroit sports. You know, the Lions wasn't really helping us back then, but it's okay. You know, we had 3 out of 4. We were smooth. Jack says his favorite moments: winning game 2 at MSG. Okay. Number 2, watching my first game at LCA in person this season. Detroit versus Clippers. But that was a tough game too. That was a tough one. But yeah, definitely. Number 3, winning the lottery in 20. Yeah. I had a feeling that was going to be number 1 for you, bro. Because I mean, for a lot of people, that's number 1. Long time fans.
I never went to a draft party or anything, but that was the first time I went to LCA, man. And I was like, I got to be here. I got to be here when we make this pick. Yeah.
And I don't know about y'all, but I was still like, please don't mess this up. Please don't darko this. Please don't darko this. Please just make the right pick and move on. And they did. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you, Jack. Appreciate those memories. Let's get to some more, bro, because I'm seeing a lot of comments in here. Let's see. Close was how you fooling. SVG was foolish for trading Spencer Spinwiddie. Yeah, I agree. We should have kept him a little bit longer. I call him a modest man's Kyrie Irving. Ethan says KCP would be better next to Cade, but the Magic giving so many picks was because of that contract. Keep it far away from you. Exactly.
Yeah, that contract is horrible.
Yep. 100%. Sean says, Jack, I'm 49 and my experiences could never equal yours. I'm dead. Yeah, Jack out here killing
49. You had an opportunity. Ooh, you had a bad experience too.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
But you got a chance to see us get screwed on that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar foul.
Oh yeah, he was. Let me see. If he's 49, then he definitely. But he was there for the back-to-back though.
Yeah, he was.
He was there for the back-to-back. He was there for 87. The steal by Bird. Yikes. 88 sprained ankle. Isaiah. Yikes. And I had to be like, I think about how bad like we had it, bro. Like, you know, with the Spurs, like imagine Eastern Conference Finals steal by Bird play when you got the game 1 about to win the series, and then the very next year you on your way to win the championship, and then somebody goes down with the sprained ankle and they can't even play the final game. Like, they had it tough, bro. Fans back then had it tough, bro. Like, I was born, but I was like itty bitty back then. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember that stuff.
Because the Pistons didn't win those championships, I feel like that team didn't get the recognition that they deserve.
Yes.
Because they were right there every single year. They were kicking Michael Jordan's ass. Yes. You see what I'm saying? and Magic 2 was getting his ass kicked.
He was getting worked. And hurt. It was all getting worked.
Miraculously, the injury happened to Isaiah Thomas. And then the stupid foul call with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah. And Dantley and Aguirre, or Dantley and Vinny.
Yeah. They should have had 4 chips at least during that era.
Man.
At least.
I'm going to say at least 3, because from 87 to 90 was like prime peak Pistons. Once 91 hit and the Bulls started ascending and we started to decline, that was the end of it. But we had 4 years where it was like conference finals at least. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So we got 2 out of 4. You know, I'll take that because it's, you know, winning the finals ain't no cakewalk. But still, it's always those situations where it's like the Pistons kind of get lost between the Lakers and then the Celtics and then the Bulls. You know what I'm saying? They skip over the Pistons a lot. So you're right. I think had we got one more, had that injury not happened or had that steal not happened, just one play in both seasons. I
count 4 because that I didn't name everything. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, the inadvertent pass, you know what I'm saying, in bounds against the Celtics.
Yeah, steal by Bird. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, man, that was tough. That was a lot to go through. You know what I'm saying? Man. I know we had the dark years or whatever that we went through or whatever.
Ain't nothing like that.
Every franchise has a period that they have to go through the dark years, bro.
Right.
Even the Lakers and the Celtics had to deal with that. Celtics did it for a while too.
Yeah, they did.
For a while. But, you know, like I said, it's, man, those experiences back in those 80s, man, was.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you right there.
Right there, bro.
Man. One foul call.
That phantom foul. I just made a post about that. The phantom foul, bro. It's like, come on, bro. Shout out to Isaiah Thomas for reposting that. I see you, man. Appreciate you. All love. But yeah, man, like it was just 1 or 2 plays every single year. Just man, just wasn't time. But it's all good. Paper Chunker says, I saw Steal by Bird live. Are we going back with it, y'all. Okay. I saw Steal by Bird live when I was 10. God. I was shocked it was frozen. It was frozen in time. I can imagine that, man. I can imagine, because the play before, Bird went to the hoop and tried to lay off glass and got a swatted. I think it was either Mahorn or it was, I think Rodman swatted it out of bounds. But he swatted it towards out of bounds, and Mahorn chased it down and knocked the ball off of Larry Bird out of bounds. Pistons ball with a few seconds left. They going crazy. Rodman running down the court.
I would have torn my house up, man.
Oh my God, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, when you actually go back and put yourself in that situation, it's like, yikes. That has to hurt. Has to, man. So, yeah, we done been through it. We've all been through it, but that's why I love hearing these stories. But for me, that moment, my Steal by Bird moment was this. Yeah. Right here. Rasheed should have never left Robert Horry open. Shout out to Make a Hustler 313. Yes, that's my Larry Bird. That's my Steal by Bird moment. Is man.
He don't even defend like that. That's what pissed me off.
Yeah, I know.
Over and over, I kept watching him like, this is not how we even play defense, bro.
Especially on inbound.
Double team people.
Especially on inbound. I know. And I love Sheed. That's always gonna be Sheed. But man, he doesn't do that. Because if I remember correctly,
could have possibly changed the course of the Spurs too.
Okay, let's see. So that was 2005. They won again in 2007. So maybe they make the wrong move to bring in somebody else because they didn't get over that. Who knows? That's a great question, bro. I didn't even think about that. Maybe Brian gets his first ring in 07. But the domino effect, right? That's crazy.
If that might change the course of the Pistons too, though, because if they win another year, a second consecutive year, then
they give Ben Wallace that extra $12 million.
$12 million.
Man, dang, Sheed. That's crazy, ain't it? That's wild. That's wild.
That's crazy, Sheed. Why you do that? You owe me a pair of shoes for that.
And it's so crazy because Tayshaun, bro, he tried to rotate. He tried to switch. He's like, it looked like you like, Sheed, what are you doing? And then we're switching. Okay, this is what we're doing. All right. He tried his hardest, bro. He was like this close to getting to that shot by Robert Horry. He was this close. And it barely went in. It spun around like the odds of that happening, bro. It's like, man, that killed me.
But still, as a basketball player, you got to know he's the one player that you don't.
Yeah, bro.
Because he was already well established as that guy to shoot a game-winning shot.
Houston, Lakers, and that game, he was already going crazy. Remember that and-one dunk when Rip tried to take that charge? Like, he was already coming in, like, doing, like, vintage Robert Horry stuff. Looked like he had lost 10 years. He went back in time 10 years. It was crazy. Where does athleticism come from? So with all that, there's no way. There's no way. You know what I'm saying? But, like, yeah, that was my Steal by Bird moment. That hurt. But, to give Sheed credit, we don't get to that finals if it ain't for him in Game 7 against the Heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
When he went crazy in that, remember that Game 7 against the Heat? When we were struggling with D-Wade and Shaq. It didn't look good in that Game 7 in that conference final series, bro. But Sheed got us there. Like, he took us home. So take the good with the bad, right?
Yeah.
Take the good with the bad. But this has been fun, man. Anything else you want to hit on, bro, before we got out here?
I think we done hit everything. We done went back to the boondocks. We done hit everything.
All right, man. We can definitely go ahead and end it there. This has been a great show, but I want to make sure that you guys always keep in mind to be safe, have fun, whatever it is you guys are doing. But I also want to say this too. King and I are going to be here all off season. So make sure you guys stay tapped in, hit that bell, like and subscribe. And also, I got some new Pistons music coming for you guys soon. So stay tapped in for that as well. And we appreciate you guys all showing up and showing out as you always do. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the love. Jack, appreciate you showing up. Eric, Vincent, appreciate you showing up. Appreciate all y'all support, man. So with that, y'all know the deal, man. Detroit versus everybody.
And when you knock me down, I'm getting back up. Cause when I step on the floor, you know your time's up. I'm on my way up and I'm not gonna stop. We headed straight to the top in the low. I gotta face it, I got no time to waste it. It's my time now.